Okay. If this is this regularly occurring stress, okay, what we're going to start talking about now is the space between these stresses, okay, as a unit of time. And this unit of time is called a beat. Okay. This is a, we are using these words a lot in our describing music, so you could be thinking about beat as something else. Maybe that, that song is a really cool beat, or, this tune has, or this hip hop track has a really cool beat because it's layered with this and this and sampled with that. In this context, and what we're talking about, I'm only talking about the word beat as a unit of time. Right? So what are other units of time? You have seconds and minutes and hours. Okay, it's the exact same thing. So in here, the unit here, I'm only talking about is the distance in time between one pulse and the next pulse. Right? So that's the length of beat. So if that's the beat, that would last 2 beats. Right? And so if that's true, tell me what it is. Right? It is last how many beats? 1 beat. Right? Right, it's 1 beat. Right. If that's true, then tell me, okay, are 2 words, 2 sounds that are splitting the beat into half. Right? So I can say that the word what, for example, okay, is half a beat. So 0.5 beat. Also it, right? Tell me what it is. This is related to what we're talking about, what I asked you to do in your homework and also in your textbook. And I'll just briefly go over, this is again the review of what we did last time. Right? Now that we have sort of codified this in time, okay, we can now start putting note values to it. And we use different note values. At the moment, we're going to use these types: a whole note, a half note, quarter note, and I'm also going to add this guy, which is the 8th note, which is not part of reading at the moment, but I think you can handle it. So these notes, they're all proportional. Okay, so a whole note is the same as how many half notes? 2 half notes. Okay, so whole note is the same as 2 half notes. Okay, that is to say, if I use a whole note to represent the length of 1 beat, okay, if I want then to write down the rhythm for tell me, okay, then I would use 2 half notes. Right, if I'm using a whole note to equal 1 beat. The half note lasts how many quarter notes? 2, etc., etc. Right. So if instead I'm using a half note to represent 1 beat, then to write out the length of tell me would be 2 quarter notes. Right. Same thing here, 1 more division. If you divide a quarter note into another half, we would use 8 notes. 8th note just looks like a quarter note. Oh, you can't see it. There. 8th note just looks like a quarter note, right? Except that there's a little thing called a flag that goes like that. Okay. In the same way, this half note is also 2 quarter notes. Right. So 1 whole note, right, lasts the same as 4 quarter notes, and so on. The British system calls these notes differently. The Americans call it by the proportion. So whole is a half, 8th, and quarter. So that's an easier way to think about it. If you also think about it as sort of a pizza pie. So if a whole note lasts a whole pie, if you cut it in half, then you have half notes. If you cut that in half again, you have 2 quarter notes, and so on. Right. Good. Next, I'm going to move on to note flight, and what we're going to do is the first part is I'm going to just demo a short melody, and this is actually has to do with tell me what it is. I'm going to write it out, have you hear it, and then I'm going to have you extend on it and see if you can use some of these notes and note lengths to write your own melody using note flight. Remember, the very beginning of class, week 2, I asked you to sort of jump in and see how you can deal with note flight, hearing just the rhythm. So now that we have some sense of what rhythm is and how to divide time, and we have some sense of how to describe these pitches using A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and also you have had some introduction to playing piano from last week using musician, we're trying to put this together, right, in this project. There are 3 of them, and I think it'll be very interesting to see what you can come up with. Okay, so first, I'm gonna take this away. And if you haven't logged on to Noteflight yet,